Australians have been ranked the happiest people in the world many times, so let's take a trip to this sunny country. For about 50,000 years before the first British settlement in the late 18th century, Australia was inhabited by indigenous Australians. The population is 24 million, and the density is among the lowest in the world. Australia is a sovereign country comprising the mainland of the Australian continent, the island of Tasmania, and many smaller islands. Although half of the continent's territory is deserts, not suitable for life, and in the eastern part of the country the climate is more favorable, and that's where 90% of the population lives, mainly in the cities. Let's take a look at the major cities of Australia. Sydney is one of Australia's largest and most expensive cities to live in, with a population of almost 5 million people, best known for its harbourfront, Sydney Opera House, and Harbour Bridge. The economy of Sydney makes up 25% of the country's economy. Melbourne, the second largest city in Australia, the tram network of which is the largest in the world with a length of 254 kilometers. At the city center is the modern Federation Square development with plazas, bars and restaurants by the Yarra River. In 2016, The Economist magazine named Melbourne as the most comfortable city for the sixth time in a row. Brisbane is famous for its skyscrapers, parks and universities. The city is a popular tourist destination, serving as a gateway to the state of Queensland, particularly to the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast. By far, the largest ethnic minority is Asian Australians. Canberra is the capital of Australia, following a long dispute over whether Sydney or Melbourne should be the national capital. Here's where the government of Australia is located today. Perth, the only major city on the west coast. It has beautiful nature and miles of pristine beaches. The downside, of course, is the fact that it's so far away from other major cities of the east coast. Australia is a warm country, and its size gives it a wide variety of landscapes with tropical rainforests in the northeast, mountain ranges in the southeast, and dry deserts in the center. It is the flattest continent with the oldest and least fertile soils. Contrary to the rest of the world, where it's warm in the south and cold in the north, in Australia it's vice versa. So winter begins in June and summer begins in December. There's also this joke about Australian map being upside down, so their country is at the top and the rest of the world is at the bottom. The history of the settling of the continent was anything but peaceful. The first settlers were English prisoners, and they began to come to Australia in the 1780s. From this moment, the problems of the indigenous people of Australia began. Local population were given special reservations, and only half a century ago, they were given the rights of regular citizens. Many of them still live without knowing the written language, the English language, and modern technology. Most of them find employment mostly in the tourism industry. But today, the Aussies are very diverse. Different skin colors and eyes. In 2016, more than a quarter of Australia's population were born overseas. Following the abolition of the White Australia policy in 1973, numerous government initiatives have been established to encourage and promote racial harmony based on a policy of multiculturalism. Today, the idea of justice and equality for all is dominant. The main language is English, of course, and other popular languages are Chinese, Italian, and Greek. In Australia, you will find animals that cannot be found anywhere else on the planet. Koala, kangaroo, emu, platypus. Interestingly, there are no monkeys on the continent. But also Australia is known as a country inhabited by the most dangerous and poisonous animals like snakes, spiders, jellyfish, as well as sharks and crocodiles. Luckily, if you stay in the city, you have nothing to worry about because most of these live in the wild. Australian sun is merciless, so it is necessary to use sun protection at all times. Australia is the driest inhabited continent on Earth and among the world's highest consumers of water. So in some states there are certain restrictions on the use of water. For example, in Tasmania, washing a car is permitted using a bucket of water and not using the hose. Agriculture contributes 3% of Australia's GDP. The outback is the colloquial name for the vast, unpopulated and mainly arid areas that comprise Australia's interior and remote coasts. Highways in Australia are generally high-capacity roads managed by state and territory government agencies. Australia's road network is well developed. The total length of roads is about 1 million kilometers, of which 3,000 kilometers is motorways. Australians drive on the left side of the road, and the majority of vehicles have the steering wheel on the right side. Kangaroos are responsible for about 90% of collisions between vehicles and animals in Australia, although most are not serious. In Australia, you'll find lawn trucks that reach a length of 100 meters. These highway giants are called road trains. Australia has its own production of cars. For example, Holden, which is a division of Chevrolet. The city transport is well developed, but you will not find an underground subway here, but high-speed city trains instead. Australia has the world's 13th largest economy and 9th highest per capita income. Australia is a wealthy country. It generates its income from various sources including mining-related exports, telecommunications, banking and manufacturing. Patriotism was behind one of the better-known marketing campaigns in recent decades to buy Australian-made products. Australia has traditionally been away from most of the world's unrest, and such indifference to the international events is understandable. Everything is so far away. The net time of flight from Sydney to London is 21 hours and 22 to New York. The country enjoys a high standard of living, an average salary of over $3,000 a month. That's why most people are not obsessed with a career. They'd rather spend time outside with their family or go surfing. You will meet people that are more interested in surfing and drinking beer than thinking about becoming a millionaire or making the world a better place. In Australia, they have a skilled immigration program. A lot of people come here to study and then they stay here to work. The cost of a trip to the cinema is about $20. Dinner for two in the restaurant is on average about $60, and combo at a McDonald's is $8. Tickets to the famous Sydney Opera House can exceed $300. The Australian dollar is made of thin plastic, so bills are very durable. Australia has one of the most expensive housing. Sydney has the second least affordable housing in the world. Also, Australia is famous for its big houses. Actually, they're the largest in the world. The average area of a new housing is 214 square meters, or 89 square meters per person. Australia attracts tourists with its countless national parks and around 10,000 beaches with white silky sand and great food. A wide choice of restaurants, the cuisine from all the countries of the world. Australia is a paradise for food lovers. Roast lamb rules as Australia's national dish. Vegemite is a thick black Australian food spread made from leftover brewer's yeast extract with various vegetable and spice additives. And of course, the world-famous beer, Foster's. The pride of every Australian menu is also fresh seafood and exotic fruit. And yes, kangaroo meat is used for food. However, the Australians themselves don't care too much for kangaroo meat, so about 70% of it is exported. Australia has a distinct coffee culture and is often cited as being one of the best developed and vibrant in the world. The development of the coffee industry has grown not from coffee chains, but through independent cafes born out of early Greek and Italian immigration since the early 20th century. In restaurants, usually they tip 5 to 10%, and if you don't do that, no one will chase you. Australia is a very sport-loving country. Going to the gym, jogging, doing yoga and surfing, riding a bike is incredibly popular. Most people try to stay fit. The average life expectancy is one of the highest in the world at about 83 years. National sport is cricket. Also popular are football, tennis, swimming, and of course, surfing. Surfers from all over the world have long considered Australia their second home. Having visited Australia once, you will fall in love with it forever. What do you guys think about Australia, and what interesting facts can you share? Thank you for watching.